Greetings YouTube and welcome back to my sketchbook. Here we have an over-the-top chopping weapon. Part axe, part sword, kind of silly. Now this is one of my favorite sketches I ever did. Someone asked me for a combat crowbar. So what I did is turn the main blade at 90 degrees. So normally it would be in this direction, and I turned it this way. Put a bump in here so your hand wouldn't slip forward. Wrap some grip here and left this section essentially much like an existing crowbar, and then gave it the classic hexagonal shaft all the way around, which meant it would not turn your hand easily. And there you have it, folks, a combat crowbar. The idea behind this was supposed to be something that could be used by a second story man as a backup weapon. So here we go. We have a four-bladed sword inspired by some silly movie I saw at some point in my past, some fantasy movie. Here we have another Infinity Arms power weapon for a fantasy future kind of a gladiatorial combat. So you have a blade that spins here and a drill bit that spins here, designed for going after people who are in power armor or in the flesh. Infinity Arms, always ready, always armed. Here we have a fantasy-style, all-metal, two-bladed sword. Kind of silly, it probably wouldn't work, but maybe it's a magic item and you could get a vibration or a sonic attack or something. Here you have a battle staff, and I happen to really like this design. I like this glaive-style blade, hollow steel tubular shaft, and then kind of a frog jigging tip on this end. I quite like that as well. Here we have another Infinity Arm design. This is an electrical shocking device. There's the Infinity Arm symbol, and here's the removable battery pack so you can change it quickly for new charges. Here we have an over-the-top, heavy, two-handed great axe, something that barbarians would use. Here we have a really nice winged spear. I really like this design. I think this came out beautifully. I was really thrilled with it, and I still am to this day. Here we have a sword, a very utilitarian design. I think that would work. Here we have a great axe, over the top, two-handed great axe with kind of a shield design. I was inspired by a badge I saw. Here we have a really curvy, kind of an elven, maybe alien Naginata design with kind of a fork up here, and I think this would work. This really doesn't do much, but it's just an aesthetic. I really kind of liked it. Here we have a very basic pilum, a Roman spear. Maybe a little, not basic, but a little higher end version of a pilum. Steel shaft, wood, designed for in-close combat and throwing. Here we have a semi-silly spearhead. I don't know what I was going for there. I was going for something, but there you have it. And this battery's going to die briefly, so if I stop this video without meaning to, that's what happened. Here we have a heavy spear with side blades to like a boar spear. Here we have something which is kind of an orc Klingon thing. Big, huge blade. You can grip multiple grips in here, so you can use it kind of like a bat'lev or kind of like an axe, going for multiple combat options. Over the top, kind of silly, but I still like the way it looked. Now here we have something. I turned these around. So essentially, this and this are almost mirrors of each other, not quite. And I wanted to do a glaive, a heavy dwarven glaive on this side, and then a kind of heavy war hook on this side. And a war hook was essentially a bush hook, and I turned it into a combat weapon. Here we have a battle axe that has a notch taken out of it, and I designed this specifically to be the kind of thing that would be used by a minotaur. I like weapons like that. Here we have a silly angular axe, which fortunately remind me of some things I saw for 4th edition. So they decided to do a silly aesthetic as well. Here we have a double weapon battle staff with a blade and hook and blade and hook. And this isn't a bad design. This just not proportioned right. These are too thin. They're too delicate. But I think that it has a solid idea. I just didn't execute it well. Here we have a heavy chopping device, and this was inspired by a spatula, believe it or not. So there you go, something you could really slice and dice with. Here we have a heavy spear used for thrusting only. This is not the kind of thing you throw with. This is just used for close combat. Here we have a double weapon. This is tubular steel, pointing, piercing, just stabbing, slashing, punching through things. I really like that design. I think I did a nice job with that. I think it would be very useful against monsters and such. Here we have a double knife. It's a small blade here and a big blade there. The grip in the middle. I think that's relatively realistic looking. Here we have another version of a double weapon. This one with more traditional blades and a wooden shaft. And I think that this actually would be quite interesting to see in the hands of a martial artist. Speaking of martial artists, here we have a double weapon. Has circular blade, cross-section, a point. And it's, again, something to be used in martial arts. Here we have a very large throwing weapon based, kind of a fusion of a hurlbat, a European hurlbat, and then a martial, and then an Asian throwing star. So you grab it here and you throw the whole thing. No edge, all points, so it'll be safe to hold. Here we have a battle axe, heavy great axe rather I should say, and I love this design. I love that design to this day. It is just so awesome. Here we have the thing I called a combat hook. So you would hold it like this, kind of like a bailing hook, and it comes up and it's got a blade, and it's designed for hooking and catching your opponent, disarming them, things like that. Here we have a couple of hand blades. This is all about slashing, and this is just a kind of a little more elaborate cestus with the spikes. Definitely something you don't want to be hit with, and both of them would have oval cross sections, not round, so they wouldn't turn in the hand overly. Here we have a double halberd. Yep, it's a halberd top and a halberd top on a shaft. I always thought that was something that a dwarf would use. And here we have a European hurlbat, and that's H-U-R-L-B-A-T, and it's a real weapon. It was designed to be thrown so that at some point would always hit its target. I don't know who invented it. Obviously, it's based on a halberd, but I thought it was always kind of cool. Here we have a combat spade, an actual shovel that could be used, but it also has the ability to be used as a weapon. Here we have a really curvy stone tool, obviously over the top, too big, but still cool.